Hi everyone, this is Yana Smakula for SimonsSStamp.com, and thanks for joining me today. Welcome to another episode from my bi-monthly Yippee for Yana video series. I think you will all agree with me that one can never have too many alphabet stamps. I'm personally a bit of an addict when it comes to alphabet sets. I love typography of all sorts, especially unique and out-of-the-box fonts. And Simon's new stitched alphabet stamp set has just the perfect font to join my collection. I've already shared a few card ideas in a video on my YouTube channel featuring these stamps, but for this video, I wanted to show a different way to use these. I was inspired by this image I spotted online, and I loved how the letters were a part of a floral design in the background. I started working on my card by arranging letters to spell out the word friend on my grid pad. I used the grid there to make sure the spacing in between the letters was identical, and also the grid lines helped me align the letters to the right. To stamp these, I mounted them onto a clear block. There are also grid lines etched onto the block. These are helpful to keep things straight. I used VersaFine Onyx Black ink and stamped these all at once onto a white cardstock panel cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. This paper is Neenah Solar White 110 pounds. I find it much faster to align the letters and stamp all at the same time rather than having to stamp each letter one by one. To add florals, I picked W+9 Modern Anemones stamp set. I recently became somewhat fascinated with these flowers. I even got myself a set of faux anemones for home decor and to use as a photo prop. So naturally, I wanted to use anemones stamps for this card. I stamped the large flower in the middle row where I had quite a bit of space. The letter I isn't as wide as the rest of the letters, so that in a way dictated where I placed the largest element on my card. Now, I'm not masking the stamped letter outlines, and you'll soon see why. The flowers and leaves that I'm adding onto my panel do overlap the letters, and unless you want these to be in the foreground, there really is no need to mask the letters. I did, however, stamp same images, the floral images, onto printer paper and cut out masks for my flowers. So I've added a flower stem and also stamped another flower overlapping letters R and E. Using scissors, I cut my floral masks out. I needed to create masks for my flowers to be able to add some leaves and flower buds in the background. I wanted to make floral arrangement fuller, and the way to do that was with masks. I stamped additional images onto my panel to complete the floral design. You can also use already created floral cluster stamps. W+9 has some gorgeous floral clusters in their bouquet series, and other companies too have already created floral arrangements that you can just stamp over the sentiment and eliminate having to do masking or having to create your own. Once my stamping is done, I moved on to coloring. Today I am using Copic Markers. I used a black marker and colored in every letter to turn these outline letters into solid. I really enjoy doing this as it easily lets you stretch your alphabet stamps. The ink I used for stamping is VersaFine Onyx Black ink. While wet, the ink does bleed when it comes in contact with alcohol markers, such as Copics, but when the ink is dry, it is Copic safe. The ink here, at this very moment, isn't yet dry, but since I'm coloring with a black marker and I'm coloring on thick 110-pound cardstock, I'm not anticipating any bleeding. This paper takes quite a lot of marker. Because I planned to color the letters black right away, right from the start, I didn't need to mask them when I did my further stamping. The stamped lines that overlap the letters aren't visible in real life. You might spot them a little bit in the photos, but that is only because I opt the contrast to help the design pop. But you can't see those in real life. So I used my heat tool and thoroughly dried the ink on my panel to make sure it was dry and ready for my future coloring. I started coloring the rest of the image with grays. I used C9, C7, and C5 markers to color the flower centers, For the greens, I used only 2 colors and went with YG17 and YG03. I'm not an expert when it comes to coloring using any medium. I certainly enjoy coloring, but I'm yet a lot to learn, so I'm not going to focus on the coloring part of this video much. I also used gray colors to color the largest flower. I went with C5, C3, and C1 markers, and this is where I think I made a mistake. I should have either colored it pink like the rest of the flowers or used lighter gray colors. Maybe using just C3 and C1 would have been enough. It really is very difficult to color white and still make it look beautiful, and this is what I definitely need to practice some more. I ended up using my colorless blender marker and going over the image a number of times to lighten up the colors. To color the 2 other flowers, I used pinks and went with the RV14, RV13, and RV11. These are my go-to colors for anything I want to color pink. I also heat embossed a sentiment for this card, and it reads, "It takes a long time to grow an old," and then there's the word friend in the background. I used white embossing pattern from Hero Arts and heat embossed this onto black paper. After I adhered my colored panel onto an A2 card base, I foam mounted my sentiment, and I actually used it to cover up a large section of the gray flower. The coloring on the flower turned out okay, but I just wish it would have been better. I used black foam tape to adhere this sentiment onto the card. Now to finish this project, I used Nuvo drops in Carnation Pink and Bubblegum Blush, so pink and light pink, and added a number of liquid drops finishing up the card design. So this finishes this project. I hope you will give this idea a try. As always, please do tag us on social media so we can take a peek at your projects. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet done so. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you next time. Bye!